One final time, Locked On Pacers, Locked On Cavs crossover here in Rocket Arena. The Pacers win Game 5. They win the series 4-1. We both were wrong with our predictions. Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs, Tony East from Locked On Pacers with one more crossover to close out this series.
You are Locked On NBA crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Tony East here from Locked On Pacers with Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs here in Rocket Arena for one final time. Pacers-Cavs, the Eastern Conference semifinal series is over. The Pacers have won in 5 games. They just won Game 5 right here in this arena, 114-105. It got much closer than that suggests. Very late. The Cavs were up 19 early. The Pacers were much better in the second and third quarters. And the end was the Donovan Mitchell show that almost extended the series but did not. The Pacers have won in 5. Both of us picked the Cavs to win.
At least I got the number of games right.
I get to wear the big dumb idiot hat tomorrow and say I picked the Cavs in 6 and the Pacers won in 5. Good job by me. What an interesting game. I thought the Cavs were going to make the Pacers fold early. I thought the Pacers were going to run away with it after their amazing second quarter. It was quite the back and forth second half. Why do you feel like the Cavs in this building, this whole series, just could not get over the hump?
I think that they couldn't figure out the best way to generate good looks against Indiana's defense. And I thought, obviously, the tempo at which the Pacers play, I hate saying the Pacers pace. Like, I wish that they were called anything else when talking about their pace. But the Cavs really could not, outside of, I thought, parts of Game 2 and the majority of Game 3, they could not dictate the tempo of this series. And early on, I don't know that they dictated it so much as the Pacers didn't make any shots and the Cavs made shots around the rim, but didn't make shots beyond the 3-point arc. And ultimately, that's going to be one of the things I continue to come back to in this series. When games were competitive, and this, like, I know the Cavs shot 40% in Game 4 because they hit a bunch of threes in the second half after the Pacers led by 41, shot 25%. Like, they hit a few threes late in this game, but they shot the ball so poorly throughout the series. They shot the ball so poorly tonight. They looked like a team that was out of gas. And one of the reasons why, Tony, I picked the Cavs in 5 games is thought the Pacers would present problems for the Cavs. But I thought that the Cavs would present more problems for the Pacers with the amount of depth they have, with the amount of shooting that they have. None of that showed up. I thought the only role player for the Cavs that had a good series was Max Strus, and then he had a terrible night tonight. Yeah. So it was the Cavs never got anything enough outside of their star players. And even when you talk about their star players, I thought Evan Mobley was good tonight. I thought he had some spurts earlier in this series. I thought Donovan Mitchell was incredible throughout this series. Amazing. But other than that, not enough guys showed up for the Cavs.
Yeah, Jared Allen was, man.
He started well and then was terrible the final 3 quarters.
Yeah, they picked on him in ways that I didn't think they would. And, you know, the reason what you say is interesting to me is Andrew Nembhard kind of was talking about this post game. Like, to me, what made this fascinating about the Pacers being able to prevent the Cavs from getting crazy is the relationship between offense and defense. What I mean by that is the Cavs couldn't stop the Pacers enough at times in this game to prevent them from defending the way they wanted to. What I mean by that is when the Pacers got really hot in that second quarter and they're scoring and scoring and scoring, then they press, right? This is a thing that they do that not a lot of teams do. Full court press is tiring. It's hard to do for a full game. You don't want to do it, but against an injured Darius Garland, didn't play until very late in the game, tied Jerome. Donovan Mitchell was awesome, but like they don't want to deal with that the whole game. So now you're the Cavs offense. It's normally very good and flowing. You're starting later in the clock than you're used to. You had to work really hard to get across the timeline. They had almost an 8-second violation tonight. Like that throws off your rhythm right there. And that's one, because of the press, but because it's really because the team just scored.
Yes.
Right. And so the Pacers offense was at times in this series their best defense. And they very frequently outside of Game 3 and the first 10 to 14 minutes of this game were scoring or getting good shots, a lot of their trips down the floor. And you saw how that relationship worked. And ironically, that is what made the Cavs win Game 3.
Yes.
Their zone was so good. They got a bunch of stops. They can get across half court quicker. They can get in their offense flow, boom, boom. They're scoring. They win by 20 plus. Those relationships were really fascinating in this series. And I also picked the Cavs because I thought their offense would be able to get that snowball in their favor way more often than it did. So yes, this is kind of an offense thing, but it's also kind of a defense thing.
It's just a full basketball thing. Like let's call this what it is. The Pacers outplayed the Cavs on both ends of the floor for the majority of this series. That's what happened over these 5 games. We can talk about shooting variance. We can talk about all that stuff, and there's a time and place for that. But the truth is the Pacers, despite the fact that the Cavs won 14 more games than them in the regular season, they were the better team in this series. And I think it was by a pretty wide margin. Yeah, the Cavs can look at themselves and say, well, we should have won game 2. Well, you didn't. You didn't do the things that you needed to do in order to win game 2. Game 3, they played great, but that was the anomaly in this series. And when you're a 64-win team, that's a big problem.
Huge problem. Tonight was fascinating, too, because it was kind of a microcosm of the whole series where the Cats have one pocket. We're like, oh, maybe they got it. This is cool. This is good. Oh, never mind. Here come the Pacers doing their thing. And tonight, every single Pacers player did the thing that makes them good and gets them on the floor for playoff games at one moment or other. Probably besides TJ McConnell, he had a pretty rough night.
Yeah,
I would say the rest of the Pacers did it, though. The flurry was Tyrese Haliburton. I mean, he hadn't had that kind of game the whole playoffs. He scored just over 20 in the first game of this series, but no one on the Pacers has had a 30-point game yet the entire playoffs. They were down 19 early in the second quarter. They needed anyone to get going to, one, keep up with the team running away from the game, but 2, to start that snowball effect you already talked about. How about a 3? Because Jared Allen was too low in coverage. Then another 3 because Jared Allen tried to scram away and no one was on him for a second. Then another 3 because he's just heat checking Tyrese Haliburton. And then 2 more of those as the quarter continued. For some reason, the Cavs were so content to switch those actions all the time. He would see it coming. He would get shots out of it. They changed their switching defense at times throughout the series, but it was never the right thing. The Pacers figured it out very quickly outside of the 3-2 zone. Like, he just blew right through it. And that's not what Tyrese Haliburton's known for. He's not known for scoring 17 points in a quarter and making 5 threes in a row. He's a very good shooter. I'm not saying he's not a good scorer. It's just not what you think of when you think of his star moments. But in this game, that's the coverage the Cavs put in front of him. And he tore it up. That's what stars do in big stages. Mitchell did it too. Late in the game, no one could guard him. He got to the basket a million times. But that was a huge stretch for the Pacers that prevented them from having this night be a night where they just fold over and die because they're down 25 at halftime in a road closeout game.
Exactly. That was obviously the biggest part in this game. The Cavs could not stop Tyrese Haliburton in the second quarter. And I thought for the most part in this series, the Cavs did a relatively good job on Haliburton. Like, I didn't think that, obviously you're going to look at the fourth quarter of game 2 and the shot that he hit, but I didn't think that he was a dominant player in this series until tonight. Like, this was, and you are going to, over the course of the series, the team that wins, you're going to win a couple games because of your star players. You're going to win a couple games because role players step up. This was a game the Pacers won because of their star player. You can maybe say that about game 2. I don't know if you can say that about game 1 or game 4, but you can absolutely say that about game 5. Tyrese Haliburton was incredible in this game. Amazing. In a way that I didn't think he was throughout the rest of the series. Full credit to him, full credit to the Pacers. They came into Cleveland and they won 3 games in Cleveland. And I think you have to be a really great team to do that. And now, truthfully, Tony, I think the Pacers have as good of a shot as anybody, maybe outside of Oklahoma City, of winning the title this year.
They're going to be up there with the favorites, and especially in the East, they can beat either of these other 2 teams left. I don't want to get to that today too much, but what I do want to talk about is something you just said, which is I agree statistically or like influence of individual moments. Tyrese Haliburton didn't have like a star performance till tonight in the series, but the entire Pacers style is him.
Right.
Like, even when Andrew Nembhard drives past the defender and kicks it out to a shooter who moves it to somebody else who scores, or they just run these quick hitter actions and guys are flying around, like, he might not even be close to the play. He's getting face guarded by Dean Wade in game 3 at times, for example. Like, that is still him. And so it's very interesting talking about the Pacers in that way, where it's like, even though his stats or his like individual, I'm touching the ball, making the defense rotator, making this or that happen, influence isn't always like, oh my God, he had 25 and 15. Like, he could walk away with 19 and 7, but like someone like Andrew Nembhard has a good passing game, or someone else has a good scoring game, or whatever. All their ball movement principles, they want to lead the league in passing, are possible because of him. And so even on some nights where he's not doing what he did today or hitting a shot like at the end of game 2 at 20 whatever and 10 in game 1, he still is their style. And when you win a series in 5 games, I think you get a lot of credit for, like, you weren't a singular star in the way that Donovan Mitchell was, or the way that a lot of those guys who carry teams through series are, but you still had a huge influence and star level impact on the series. That's what he's done for the Pacers these last couple of years. They're now, I can't even finish. They're now 4-0 when he finishes the series healthy. He's that good.
Yeah. And I do think that he deserves credit for having that sort of influence. I think the other guys deserve credit for being willing to take on that image. Like, that is a difficult thing to do, because professional basketball, and Kenny Atkinson after the game, and he meant this in a very complimentary way, he sort of compared the Pacers to a collegiate team where they take on an identity, where they play a certain style. And, in college basketball, there are so many teams, there are so many different styles of basketball that can be played at that level. In the NBA, a lot of these teams are kind of cookie cutter teams, and the Pacers very much do not fit the mold that the rest of the NBA fits. And I think that mold is, as you mentioned, Tyrese Haliburton, but the rest of the guys that are on this team that, have not played their entire career in Indiana, probably will not play their entire careers with the Pacers. They deserve credit for being willing to adjust to that and master it to the level that they have, because you do not. And I think the best way to describe the Pacers right now is probably a team that is far greater than the sum of its parts, right? Like if you just look up and down the roster, I don't know if that team is the talent level that you think of when you think of a team that can win the title typically. I don't know that they have the star power, but the complementary pieces fit so well. Pascal Siakam, so underrated. Miles Turner had a great series. Those guys have taken on the image of this team, I think, in the best possible way, and it makes the Pacers so dangerous.
Yeah, the parts of the parts, because they fit really well. I want to talk about that and the context of this game, and especially the second half of this game in just a moment. Before that, though, I want to talk about Wayfair. The days are getting longer. The weather's warming up. It's warm in this arena, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all, in prices to fit your budget. New patio set and some strong lights from Wayfair to help extend your outdoor space. They have a mix of styles. It makes it easy to find pieces that match your vibe. The delivery is free and hassle-free. How about that? And whether you're entertaining guests or just relaxing solo like me, Wayfair can help you unwind. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Back here, crossing it over on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Cavs. Totally get what you're saying. The reason this team, some of his parts, is what it is because of exactly what happened to me in the second half today. What these players are known for, one, in many cases, fits the Pacers style better than most other teams in the NBA. Obi Toppin is probably on the ideal team for him. TJ McConnell is probably on the ideal team for him. Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard. I almost called them both Aaron. Both fit extremely well between the Pacers stars. All these players are in the right spot. And you saw that today. Aaron Nesmith, known for his effort. 13 boards from a wing. He was a beast there. Miles Turner, dagger 3, 4 blocks. He's a 3-and-D kind of guy. Pascal Siakam punished smalls. Tyrese Haliburton hit his threes. Andrew Nembhard was 7 for 11. And minutes matched with Donovan Mitchell. Like, that's so hard to do. Every time one would come in or out, the other one would too. Off the bench, they got good defense from Ben Mather and a huge chase down block. Offensive night for him. Obviously, McConnell had a night to forget, but Thomas Bryant was like the best player in the game.
What he did in that, what was it, the third quarter, where he kind of, I don't want to say kept them afloat, but he was amazing. He gave them minutes that I don't think that the Cavs were counting on Thomas Bryant being able to give the Pacers in this series. Like, that should have been an area in this series where the Cavs would have theoretically had a ginormous advantage. And Thomas Bryant, I mean, dare I say, dominated the minutes that he played in the second half tonight?
Yes, those are rocky minutes. Like, the first half, I got why they went to minutes with no Haliburton and Siakam, because Haliburton had the 2 fouls. In the second half, I thought, what are they doing? Doesn't matter. Thomas Bryant's going to be the best scorer on the floor and score 9 points in 6 minutes, and you're fine. Everybody did the stuff that makes them good and makes them good on the Pacers specifically. It's not going to happen every game, but like, all you need is Haliburton to get you back in the game, and those guys can do that. Maybe that's a sum of their parts thing. Maybe that's just what these guys are in a moment like that, where they're like, okay, I don't care. This is what I have to do in this game. Great, I'm going to do it. It's not fun to do, but like Aaron Nesmith's not afraid of anything. He'll go right out of it, Mobley. That was an insane layup. Right. So I've just been rambling for 2 minutes. I apologize, but like that kind of balance, I said this on the Locked On Pacers episode that's already up, is what makes the Pacers who they are.
Yes, it absolutely does. And I think that's what makes them so dangerous too.
I agree.
Because it makes them, Tony, so much more difficult to prepare for. I don't think the Cavs were appropriately prepared for this series. I thought that was evident in game 1.
You heard him say it, right? Donovan Mitchell said we cannot practice at that pace. It's not, you can't do it.
And he's right. You cannot. And whoever the Pacers play, I would imagine it's going to be the New York Knicks, and you will have plenty of time to talk about this on your show. I don't know how they're going to prepare for Indiana. Like, I'm going to pick Indiana to beat, whether it is the Knicks or if the Celtics have a miraculous. Oh, good job. I'm sure you're going to be loved after this incorrect prediction that you had in this series. Whether it is against the Celtics having some miracle comeback or the New York Knicks, like, they're going to win that series, because neither one of those teams at their current state are going to be able to keep up with the Pacers. Like, that is a thing you cannot prepare for. I did not think the Cavs were prepared for the series. It was evident in game 1. It was evident in game 4. It was evident tonight. The Cavs were the lesser prepared team. Rick Carlisle, I think, deserves a lot of credit for the coaching job he did in this series. That's something we haven't touched upon yet, and I'm sure you'll get to in greater detail on your show throughout this week. But just overall, like, this was a butt kicking from start to finish, with the exception of game 3.
Why couldn't the Cavs hold their start from this game? Was it the Pacers making shots and getting into what we talked about? Because they were awesome getting to the rim in the first quarter. I thought, oh my gosh, this is crazy. They have 18 points. They paint a million free throws already. They're up 19, and then just nosedive, barely up at halftime at all.
Because I think at some point you have to hit shots from the outside, and that is the thing.
Struggle all series.
The Cavs could not do this series. They entered this series having played 86 games. In all 86 games they played before this series, they hit at least 10 3-pointers. Game 1, they hit 9 3-pointers. Game 5, they hit 9 3-pointers. They're not built to win. Very few teams are built to win playoff games that way. The Cavs are not one of them. The Cavs need to be a team that is shooting the basketball well in order to thrive offensively. And as the ball continued to clank off the rim, I thought they got more and more tense. I thought they could kind of sense the energy in this building shift from pretty happy, pretty loud when the Cavs opened up a 19
If we could sense it, they could sense it.
And then it got very tight in here when that lead got cut to 10 and then to 7 and then to 4. And ultimately the lead at halftime was much smaller than it was at the start of the second quarter. And I think that was a thing where everybody could kind of sense it in here. And I don't want to say that the Cavs fed off the crowd's energy for that, because ultimately they are NBA players and that shouldn't be the case. But I think you can kind of sense when things are going wrong. And with every missed 3-pointer, I think that burden just got a little bit heavier. And give the Pacers credit, they defended well. They took away a lot of the things that the Cavs were able to do successfully during the season. But the Cavs are going to look at this and say, we missed a lot of shots that we liked. And they're going to finish the series, Tony, shooting under 25% on wide open 3-pointers. They were the number 1 team in basketball this year, shot 42% on wide open threes. They're going to finish the series shooting 10% worse than the Orlando Magic did during the season, who were the worst shooting team in basketball this year.
Yeah, I'm getting to find it very interesting how the Cavs look back on their shooting in this series specifically. Obviously, the wide open ones, you want them to go in. And they'll go, well, one of our better shooters that we traded for the trade deadline, his shooting thumb is just dislocated, sprained, whatever. Darius Garland, a great shooter off the bounce, can't move very well. I thought he started this game moving really well and then nosedived as the game went on. Mitchell shot it okay, I guess. He started really slow in the series. Mobley made a couple here and there. But like, okay, I understand how maybe some guys being banged up reduce the quality of their own threes, and also like Garland's a good creator, reduces the quality of other guys' threes. I think the Pacers did a good job. Kenny, I get to talk about this all the time of, getting them off their spots. Like, they're not catching where they usually do. The passes are not quite as on target because of the pressure. Or like that kind of stuff clouds the general. Like, your percentage is going to be a little bit worse. Obviously, though, like you're saying, the wide open ones, that is just a variance thing. You hope they go in. I'll be very curious how they come out of this series thinking about their shooting. Was it something that they just needed to make them? Was it something that they need to do better to control the shots that they get? Right? It's always kind of situation to deal with. Like, the Celtics take a bunch of threes, half of them, I'm like, they didn't do anything that whole possession. Like, people are going to call it a variance, but they didn't do anything. Like, I didn't feel like the Cavs did that, but I didn't feel like I felt like they got fewer wide open threes than you'd expect from them in the series, and that's what I think they'll be looking at as they go into the summer.
That should be the thing they look at in this summer, because listen, some of the looks they missed, really good looks that they would be
I agree with that.
Very happy to get on any given possession, but they didn't generate enough of those. They did a much better job during the regular season, during the first round against Miami, of generating a higher number of great looks from beyond the arc. And I think the Pacers, some of that is Garland's foot. Donovan Mitchell was dealing with stuff too. We watched him limp out of here a little bit ago with that left leg, was very heavily wrapped tonight. You couldn't tell with the leggings he had on, but he had a pretty significant calf wrap on.
My respect for him went way up, man.
He played through a lot in this series. He really, really, truly did. But I think that because he was a little hampered, and they're not using injuries as an excuse, and they shouldn't be, but I do think that they were a little bit less explosive, and I think that led to the Pacers being able to defend in one-on-one situations a little bit better. And I think that Indy's plan was kind of what we saw work for the Cavs in the first half tonight, how they built that game where, okay, they're going to score through them. That's going to happen. They did a great job of taking away the open 3-pointers by not over helping, which is when you see teams get in trouble. And we saw that the Cavs do this in game 1. They overhelp defensively so much, and that's why part of the reason why the Pacers hit 19 threes in that game. But the Cavs didn't generate those types of looks. Part of it's the injuries, part of it's the Pacers defense, and part of it is the ones they did generate, they didn't make enough of them.
Yeah, injuries, like, you can't write them off as a factor. I think Kenny tried to toe the line pretty well when he was asked about that pregame, especially when they're to the players that they were specifically to. The problem the Cavs have with that is their guys who were healthy were bad.
Yes.
Like, they did not do anything. Ty Jerome had one good quarter just then at the end of the series. Like, that was it. Jared Allen, I thought, was awesome in game 3, and the rest of the time I was like, this guy, like that.
He was not good.
He was good.
He was good in the first quarter tonight, and then he fell off a cliff.
Sam Merrill was hurt. Apparently, he didn't do anything really of consequence the entire series. Dean Wade is like one of my favorite players. I was like, that's it.
He doesn't shoot, though.
That's all Dean Wade could have given them. Like, they just didn't get anything from the healthy guys. I think that was a big factor, too. Like, even I thought Greg Porter was good. I wish they'd turned to him more. That would have made my brain feel a little better. So just look, tough for the Cavs, obviously. They will be pissed at themselves for the 64-win season ending so quickly with a 5-4 playoff record. But credit goes to the Pacers. This is the
100%.
second straight season that they have played a team everybody picked them to lose against. It was the Knicks last year. It was the Cavs this year. Most people picked the Pacers to lose to the Bucks last year, and their style's tough to beat, and they find ways to win, and they win tough games on the road in the playoffs 3 times in here. I believe 3 of the 10 losses this entire season in this building came at the hands of the Pacers, and they're moving on. And Danny, it was fun doing these.
I
with
mean,
you.
5. They beat them 5 times.
5 and 10. I don't know why I was.
They beat them 5. They beat them here in January. They beat them, and I mean,
no, we're not counting the Masters game.
Yes, I'm still mad at the Pacers for coming back in that game from down 27 points and taking it to double overtime, as you and I wanted to go watch the Masters afterwards. But yeah, they beat the Cavs 5 times technically in Cleveland this year.
Crazy stuff. Locked on Cavs with Danny Cunningham. We'll have more on this game and where the Cavs go next, and what I presume will be shockingly actually a challenging offseason now for the Cavs to navigate. You can tell me more about that later. The Pacers are moving on to play more basketball games. Locked on Pacers will have plenty more on that. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us and all these post-game shows. Unfortunately, they are over, although many of my listeners will be smiling at there are no more Danny Cunningham. Danny, I had a lot of fun with these.
I can't believe your listeners don't like me. It's stunning to me. I've read the comments. Nobody likes me.
Danny, I like you. We had a lot of fun.
Well, that's what
these.
matters. I'm just sad I'm not going to get to go back to Indianapolis and have
your Harry and Izzy's. It's over.
I was so looking forward to having at least one more meal at Harry and Izzy's, if not 2.
Here's the personality of Danny Cunningham versus Tony East. Danny went to Indy and played Indy golf courses and went to Harry and Izzy's. I went to Cleveland and went to Potbelly and did nothing else basically at all. So outside, I did see a friend that went to some Cleveland local restaurants, but we have much different style of travel from city to city. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with us after these games. See you on our individual shows.